something I really liked for Shedeur Sanders from the Browns quarterback situation, having Joe Flacco in the room. Joe Flacco was asked about being a mentor to Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, the young quarterbacks in the Browns quarterback room, and I thought he gave a great answer in response to this question. Take a listen.
Point you can kind of like use it like because it's a good question to bait somebody into answering, and no matter how they answer it, it kind of makes the guy that's answering it look bad. If I say I don't want to be a mentor, I look bad. If I say I do want to be a mentor, then I look like an idiot that doesn't care about being good and playing football. So it's one of those questions that no matter what I say, you guys can write what you want to write about it. And there's a lot of questions like that. That's why you end up having to try to avoid them. I tend to try to be honest, and I've said I'm not a mentor. I play football. And in a quarterback room, there's a lot of times there's been a ton of times where there's learning experiences, and I have a lot of experience, and I can talk on things, and hopefully they listen. But it's not necessarily like my job to like make sure they listen to me. And hey, like hopefully you have a really good relationship with the guys that are in the room, and you naturally want to do that, But that was a long-winded answer, but that's ultimately why I think you guys ask it, Here's the thing is, like, because of what I just said, like, you're acting like I wouldn't want to be a mentor. It's like, once again, it's not really about that. It's just not the main focus. I see myself as a guy that can play in this league. So if your main focus was just like, hey, but I'm going to get you ready, you're just not taking care of business. The best way to be a mentor, honestly, is, like, show people how you go to work.
Lead by example. I thought that was a great answer from Joe Flacco. Browns OTAs are underway this weekend. ESPN Cleveland put out a quarterback tracker for Browns OTAs, stats and OTAs. Colorado alum Matt McChesney and I laughed at this on 0 to 60 yesterday because this is kind of funny. But I thought that was a great answer from Joe Flacco and kind of lead by example. That's kind of what I meant by having Joe Flacco mentor Shedeur Sanders. I think he gave a great answer there. John, let me ask you about this Cleveland Browns quarterback situation. What are your thoughts on it? Did you like Flacco's answer there? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Bailey, I love Flacco's answer there, and I think that's why he's a guy that's played in the league as long as he has, closing in on 20 years or something, and been successful, won a Super Bowl, and is a great competitor. And I couldn't agree more. Like, if you're at that position, if you're on any NFL roster and your goal isn't to start and to be the best, then you're going to live up to the not for long moniker that goes with the NFL. You're not going to last. So I love that. He's another guy, kind of like Mason Rudolph, only with much greater success and a much longer sustained track record of success. But his teammates really respect him. He's tough. He's heady. He will stand in there and take hits. He'll keep getting up. He'll keep playing. And I love that from Joe Flacco. I think that's leadership in his answer. I think it's very mature. And I don't know that it was necessarily meant to be a got you question, but he certainly turned it from a gotcha question into a shining example of his own leadership style and why the guy has started for multiple franchises and been an enduring figure at the quarterback position in the NFL.
Definitely well said. And Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl championship under his belt, has been there and done that. We saw his answer with Lamar Jackson a few years ago over the Baltimore Ravens about not wanting to mentor. I think it was, if anything, for a PR perspective, better answer, definitely. Now, let me ask you about this Cleveland Browns quarterback situation room, so to speak. I thought it was Joe Flacco's job to lose. Now reports have come out that it's Kenny Pickett taking QB1 reps. Seemingly Gabriel and Sanders will battle it out, and Joe Flacco's kind of there as a backup. What are your thoughts on this Browns quarterback situation? How do you see it playing out? And could Shedeur Sanders start for the Browns this season?
Anything's possible, for sure. I would say I still think it will be a Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco battle. I wouldn't anoint Kenny Pickett as the starter just yet, given how many games that Joe Flacco started last year for the Colts and how many games he started in his career. And certainly Pickett took some shots at the Steelers not doing enough to get him surrounded for help. And I've seen some other media in that region basically confirming that Kenny Pickett wasn't treated necessarily fairly by the Steelers and certainly didn't have even a mid-tier offensive line in the NFL when he was there. And so I don't think we've seen all there is to see from Kenny Pickett. But I do think that there will be a Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco battle to start the opening game. And then you'll have Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders have an opportunity over the coming months to state their case. I would think both of those guys will get extensive playing time in the preseason. And I do think that Shedeur Sanders has a much higher ceiling than Dylan Gabriel, particularly as it comes to the NFL.
No doubt, no doubt. And I love Shedeur Sanders' toughness. I covered him last season in Colorado. Every time he got hit, he did not play for a great offensive line ever, especially Colorado. Every time he got hit in the mouth, he would get up, spit blood out of his $100,000 grill, and respond. Interesting situation in Cleveland.